Kia ora and welcome to the summary of changes to my practicum document. It was really wonderful to get the feedback from my colleagues and also from my auntie. All the people I chose were people that I value and admire within their own respective areas. So I'll just get straight into it. With the first feedback I got from Lindley, she suggested that I contact the Blind Foundation for adaptive daily living around some of the safety concerns, and I thought that was a really good idea, so I changed that area in my plan. She also suggested that I needed to research around Pacifica students and the environments, so I added that into my plan as well. One thing that I didn't put into what she suggested was looking into the binding nature of some of the MLEs and that they can be huge problems for our students. But I decided not to because my caseload at the moment is I have a new blind student and I would prefer to put the time into her in terms of this area of study and what I need to learn for Braille and literacy and being a primary school teacher. Not being a primary school teacher, I felt like the literacy was more important than the MLE environments for secondary school students. However, I am going to do 3 observations within a high school environment, particularly around student voice and assistive technology. So that will be valuable. Lindley also suggested looking into the UN human rights when it comes to the policies and procedures that we have a legal obligation to follow out, and I thought that was a really good idea because it fits alongside the rights of a child with disabilities and could be used in everyday practice, and is also really important that the children know what their rights are. She also suggested that I look to Lev Vygotsky, the psychologist and social constructivist, in the area of the psychosocial aspects that may affect the child and the family that are blind or have low vision. I thought this was fantastic, considering she said his approach is very popular and that his early work centres on children that are deaf and deafblind, so that is completely relevant to my area. The second person I gained feedback from is Kelly Doyle, who is a Māori liaison specialist within Blends and a complete wealth of knowledge when it comes to tikanga and te reo. She really said that she thought that my goals and my reflections and my activities were concise and achievable. She also thought there was a lot of araha, and she could tell that I was a passionate and a hard-working RTV, but she worried a little bit for my own well-being, having a full caseload. So I took that into account, and I just changed a few things in in standard 1. So, for example, instead of having make 4 braille whakatauki and karakia, I just changed it to make 2 whakatauki that can be accessible through braille. I do have a tendency of biting off more than I can chew, so it was good to hear that message and to take it on board. And my lovely colleague Chloe, who's absolutely wonderful and such a genius, she had a look at my practicum and she was really helpful with the structure and the semantics of things. So she said, for example, every goal, you make sure that you have a goal, then you have the activity plan, and then you have, like, in the context that you have it, and then as she went through, she said, make sure the activities underneath, what it relates to. I did mine quite quickly, my draft document quite quickly, and there were a few holes, so she was able to go through with the details and focus in on the details, which was really helpful for me. She also made a note that I had a lot of reflection, so a lot of personal knowledge, but actually I needed to extend that more into the the research and also the families to get that the three areas of evidence-based practice. So I balanced that out a bit by adding more research and more parent voice as opposed to myself or colleague voice. And then finally, the last lot of feedback was from my auntie, who is a senior teacher at an early childhood centre and also the manager. She's had about 25 years experience both nationally and internationally in this role, and is quite a highly respected educator. She was really helpful in terms of understanding me on a personal level and helping to rephrase things to make it professionally accurate. And she was able to turn some of my language into the context of a teaching practice, which is something that I can find difficult with. So I actually took a lot of her suggestions on board. So, for example, I had reflection scores of 8, and she said, okay, well, tell me how are you going to prove that you're an 8? What does that mean? And she also said things like, you're using the word intuitive, or you want to become more conscious. She said to change those to to create a more professional language, which was really helpful. And then she also noted that it was important that even though in my job I seem to be getting a niche as a problem solver, it's really important not to put down or have a negative, say if the previous experience wasn't that good with the other RTV, to have a professional way of wording that, because they're my colleagues, and it's not that I think that it was a negative experience. It's just that I do find it difficult to find the correct professional words, but hopefully this study will help me to increase my vocabulary in this area. So I changed quite a few, pretty much all of my reflections, to really think about what did I mean and to try and unpack that reflection at a deeper level. So yeah, I'm really proud of how, compared to my first reflective document, my second reflection column is quite a lot better. And she also asked me to be more specific and to use people's names because she didn't understand a lot of the information. And she also said that it was quite academic and to make sure that it was practical and actually helping students to achieve outcomes. So yeah, it was really helpful.